Um, okay, so a few people, yeah, okay, fantastic. Okay, one person saying, I can't hear anything. Okay, for that person, because it's only one person, you may need to log out and log back in. Other than that, yeah, everyone says that we're good to go. Okay, so for those that don't know, I write an article for YPN magazine pretty much every month. YPN is Your Property Network, and it's a magazine written by property investors for property investors. And here's one of the articles that I wrote, which was quite fitting for tonight's webinar, deciding whether I buy it, hold it, or sell it. With deal sourcing, you have that option. Once you've sourced it, what do you do with it? Do you keep it for your portfolio or do you sell it on? So that's one of the articles that I've done, and I'm quite proud of my YPN achievements. So that's enough about me. Now I'm going to pass you on to a person, to the name of Neil McCoy Ward, who's going to be telling you a little bit about who he is and what he's done. More importantly, why he sees that he should be sat here tonight telling you about what we do. So over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Arsh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And firstly, thank you for spending your Sunday evening with us. So I actually started as a landlord back in 2005 when I bought my first property. And it was very much like a lot of people these days. I was watching the TV, I saw Sarah Beanie on Property Ladder, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I got really excited by it, went out and found a house just around the corner from me, basically. And it needed a lot of work. I paid full asking price, which was a bad move back then. 20 years old, paid full asking price, and had a bit of savings and put that into the house. And then spent a long time, best part of 6 or 7 months, if not longer, renovating the house. So there's a lot of lessons there. Number one, don't buy at market value straight away. And number two, don't spend so long doing it all yourself because you pay more in interest. So, and over the last 10 years, I've bought and sold properties, but been a landlord this entire time. I think most people know me for one of two things. It's either being an entrepreneur or a sales trainer. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time now, and I own quite a lot of companies like Arsh, and we're going to talk about a couple of those companies today. And of course, we're talking about deal sourcing. One of my big companies is a deal sourcing company where I source deals for landlords, and also it's similar to an estate agency where I help people to actually sell their properties who haven't been able to through an agency. I also have a very large rent-to-rent portfolio, and I think probably one of the biggest in the UK now. I don't think I'm the largest, but very, very healthy rent-to-rent business. I do marketing consultancy. I used to do it all around the world, but I've sort of limited it to Europe now. Same with the sales training. I tend to do it mainly in America, Europe, and the UK. I've written a couple of books back in the day, but the main thing I do now is my focus on the forward thinking group, which I'll tell you about a little later on. But it's a group of different companies, mainly focused around property. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So I think that's enough on me. Just did that really quickly, and I'll pass over to Arsh.
Okay, so just one thing that we do at the start of most webinars is trying to figure out who we got online, but more importantly, why are you here? What's your reason for wanting to get involved in property? So if you can, we've given you a few examples there in the box. Just put what's your reason why? What do you want to get out of it? Why do you want to get involved in it? It could be little things like you want to escape the rat race, you want to be your own boss, but tell us a little bit more. What's your experience? Okay, so wow, okay. Resolve finance problems, travel, more time, don't want to be a slave, a salary slave. Okay, first time I've heard that. A lot of it is to do with work less and make more money and freedom. So that's a big thing. Make big money, have more time, choice, financial issues. Recently got divorced. Freedom. Okay, so someone says, can you advise, please? Still can't hear. Stephen, what you do need to do, unfortunately, everyone else seems to be able to hear. We've got a lot of people online tonight, so it may be that you may need to again log off and get back in. So everyone's saying get passive income to live off, have to do my hobby, retirement income, turn source properties for myself. Okay, so a lot of it is to do with freedom. So Neil,
Yeah. Okay, great. No, that's fantastic. I was listening to all of those, and it's always very similar, but also very different for every time we run a webinar, because the main things come up, such as families and health, and it's really interesting. I had a guy the other day call me, and this guy is one of the toughest, meanest guys you'll ever meet. You cross the street when when you see him coming, but he's called me a couple of times actually wanting to get into property. He's never done it, and it was really interesting and sad at the same time that he said, one of his children's very unwell at the moment, and he's looking now to get into property because he's realised he's just been wasting his life in a way doing the job he's doing, which he didn't like, and now he's actually coming on this next, well, possibly looking to come on this next course. So it's really interesting how everyone's got different sort of motivations. Some people it's health problems. I know a lot of people we have come on have got health issues and they can't work anymore. It's redundancy, looking to create some passive income. Just a lot of people is just wanting to change, that new excitement, knowing that you're in a job or doing something that isn't true to you and aligned with your core. So that's fantastic. And a lot of the times the questions we get asked are, can I really replace my income? So whether that's 9 to 5 or whatever you're doing, with property sourcing income. And the answer to that is absolutely. So many other people have done this. And I mean, all through my life, I've looked at things and said, if other people have done it, then I can do it too. I've always believed that, and I've always followed that model. This year, and we're only in September, Arsh and I have actually created more success stories than anyone else I know of, actually. And we've done it more than any other year on record this year. I don't even know how many people we've helped to escape the rat race or just to create passive income. Some people are well over £5,000, if not £10,000 passive income a month now. And I should probably call it property income instead of passive, because there really is no such thing as passive income in my experience. So we'll call it property income. Okay, Ash, let's go on to the next slide. Ash, do you want to talk about this, and I'll jump in as well with you?
Okay, right. Okay, so here, what we're going to let's have a look at a timeline tonight. So let's have a look at a period of time for the last 10 years and all the changes that we've come across. So we're looking pre-crash, during the crash, after the crash. Now, pre-crash, everyone was talking about deals that they could do same-day refinance. So that was a Mortgage Express. That is a big thing. Buy your property same day, refinance it, get your money back out, start moving forward. Then you get then you hit the crash where no one's lending money. You've got issues. No one can seem to get funding to buy properties. And then you've got post-crash where funding was still tough, but it started to ease up where we are today in 2015. I think funding today is a lot easier than it has been for the last few years. But I mean, one thing that has happened for us that has remained consistent is that we've always managed to generate a strong number of leads. So throughout the period, so before the crash, we were buying and we were actively buying 30 properties a month. So that's a lot of properties and that's a lot of negotiations. We would have to look at a lot of properties. We'd have to put out such a massive marketing budget. And I'd like to think that pretty much this year especially, we've pretty much got to that kind of level again. Now, but I've changed the strategy slightly. The only difference is that I decided this year that I already own enough. I own enough to the point where, it's pretty much get to a point where it's becoming unmanageable. So what we're doing is that anything that we see, unless it's a real gem of a deal, Everything else is for sale. So what we do, we source it and we pass it on. So I've seen pretty much every cycle that you can see in the property market. And Neil, are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, if you go back a slide, Ash, I'll just mention from my point of view, because what you'll notice for everybody online about Arsh and I is that we have completely different outlooks, and we do property in a very different way. I mean, Arsh is LHA, I'm professional. Arsh does his sourcing in one way, I do it in another. So we're very different. So from my point of view, when I first started in 2005, it was very easy to buy property. I didn't find it difficult at all. And values were going up so much at that time as well that it was just rinse and repeat. So what that means is all you did was you bought a property, you spent a few £1,000s, you know, £5,000–10,000 on it, and then it's increased not by that 5 or 10,000, but perhaps 20,000, or even more sometimes. So once it's 6 months down the line, 9 months, a year down the line, the prices were going up so fast that you could just pull all your money out straight away and invest that into another property. 9 months down the line, a year down the line, you then pull out your money from both properties again, and you can buy another 2 properties. You've now got 4 properties. You've now got 8 properties. So this is how easy it was back then. But then what happened was sort of 2008 time, I believe, if I remember correctly, we sort of went into the crash, and that lasted for a long, long time. You know, good 5 years that crash was going on, and it was tough back then. But you also had the likes of Mortgage Express, where they were just giving 100% mortgages to people, and it was so. In fact, there was above 100%, like 105%. So everybody was just buying property like it was going out of fashion. And a lot of the big landlords that you hear about in the news, especially some that are selling up now, the way they did it, if any of you are wondering, how did they amass 500, 600, 700 properties? It was doing that strategy, the above 100% mortgage properties. So they were buying, that's how they were doing it. But then when the crash happened, a lot of people lost all those houses because they were too highly geared. Highly gearing means that you haven't got enough equity in the property. So that is really what happened. And now in the last year or two, I'd say we've really come out, and you see London's a bubble, so it doesn't really apply in London, but everywhere else in the UK has just seen rapid growth in the last year to 18 months as we actually come out of the crash. And now people are really rushing back into property again. I know that in the last year, my sourcing business has just exploded with the amount of landlords who have been contacting us. And your typical landlord is people such as accountants and doctors and engineers, these sort of people who have got plenty of money, they earn a good wage, and they just don't know what to do with it, and they're so busy, they haven't got the time to actually go out and invest and learn about it themselves. So these are the sort of people that you'll be helping with the business, and believe me, they will come to you day in, day out looking for properties, so you'll never not have a customer for any deals that you find. So let's go forward then, Arsh. Okay, so a lot of people ask, how much do these property deals actually sell for? And a lot of people are really shocked to hear the fees on the deals. But a typical small house, I sell for around £2,000 to £3,000. That's the fee that I'll charge for an investor. I know Arsh does similar and sometimes more. A lease option or rent to rent, which are outside of the scope of this webinar. This is a more niche specialist area, which I'm happy to talk to anyone about at another time. But this is a more specialist area. These sell for a lot of money, £2,000 to £10,000. And I just sold a rent-to-rent deal last week, and that was exactly £2,000. So they are really easy to get, and they're very easy to sell. People will buy those all day long. I've got a huge waiting list for rent-to-rents and lease option deals. So your average property deal, if you look at the spectrum from small up to large, is about £5,000. Similar, both me and Arsh, we sell them an average of 5,000. Then you go on to larger houses, or such as small HMOs. So that might be, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 bedrooms, for example. Those fees start at 5. and go up to about £8,000. That's what you would ask for an investor. And then when you go into the larger HMOs, so I'm just sort of throwing numbers out here, but let's say an 8-bedroom, or you go up to more of a commercial property, you're looking at £10,000 upwards. That's the fee. You won't really get less than that. Landlords will pay that. The serious investors, it's nothing to them. £10,000 is nothing to get their hands on an investment like this. You also have a lot of investment funds now. So people from the city are looking to invest in areas like this. I know we've got plenty on the books, and £10,000 to an investment fund like them is nothing, absolutely nothing. Then you come on to the really big numbers, and this is land. A plot of land can sell from anything from a few £100 up to 30,000 or even more. I've heard of land deals being brokered for serious money. But they're just some examples, because I want to keep this more conservative. I don't want to stand here and say you'll make 20,000 on a deal, 30,000 on a deal. I'm just giving you the low sort of average numbers so that you can sort of get a really good idea for yourself, and there's no hype around it. Next slide, Arsh. So I'll talk about a few deals that I've done throughout August, because we're now 6th of September. So August was I'd say it was a fairly slow month for me, because I was doing a lot of rent to rent. I think we closed on about 6 or 7 rent to rent deals in August. So that added another, £5,500 to the cash flow from the rent to rent. That's net profit. So you can either keep those deals or you can source them on for yourself. But August, the first deal was an investor source deal. So it was a chap who's been on my list for a long time, and he wanted a house in a certain area. So there was these 4 roads that he wanted to invest in for the university. That's just closed, and we're doing the refurb for him as well. So that's another £4,000 profit on top of these fees. So this was through my vehicle branding that he saw. He saw the vehicle and stopped me one day for a chat. So the time invested into finding him that property was 7 hours, and he paid me a fee of £3,000 because it was only a small property. And I also got £1,200 from the seller as like an agency fee for selling that. So that was £4,200 for basically about 7 hours work really on that deal. So it's a nice little deal for nice little bit of money there. The second deal I did this month was a rent to rent, and I sold that straight away. I sourced that through a newspaper advert that cost me, I think it was about £20-30 to put that advert in, and I got 3 really good leads from that. 2 that have sold already. The third one is going through probably next month, might be 6 weeks time. So again, that was about 5 hours work on that one, and the fee was £1,995, and he was a local investor in Coventry that bought that deal from me. So the fees on that were £1,995. So that's what's that, 6,200 so far in fees for August. Next slide, Arsh. Okay, and then I did a personal house sale this month as well. So this month was a slow month for me, but it was a very large, substantial cash out on that. It's a property that I bought, renovated, and I've sold that on now. So that was very nice, and I got a £2,000 fee from the investor who was on my database as well. Because that property for me, it didn't really work on the figures. I've been selling up lately. That's my plan now. Because I'm doing so much business from the sourcing and the rent to rent, actually owning property is not part of my long-term strategy going forward. So that's why, if anyone's wondering why I sold, that's the reason why. I make so much money through the sourcing and the rent to rent, it's not worth me holding houses now, really. And the fourth deal, which is going through, hasn't gone through yet, is a option deal that I sourced, and that was through one of my tradesmen. So one of my tradesmen brought me this. He got £200 cash in hand for finding that deal for me. That was about 12 hours worth of work I put into that. So visiting with the vendor and driving there, doing the paperwork, etc. So that's £5,000 from the buyer. and 7,500 from the seller. Because what we did, this is an interesting one, and it shows how you can be creative in sourcing. We spent about £3,000 on this one, doing the refurb. So we made sure the contracts were all signed first. Spent £3,000 doing the refurb. So my own guys did that. And it added a lot of money to the value of the property. I knew if we did the 3,000 refurb, it would add about 15,000 just because it was very dated. So we basically split the money. We split the profits. I got the money back plus a profit split. So that's how I got the 7,500 from that. So that's going to be completed. It's just with solicitors at the moment with the conveyancing. So it should be completed any time now in the next few weeks. So that has been, I know it looks a lot on the numbers, but that's a fairly slow month in terms of sourcing. If you do this full time, things like that, I know some of you will be watching at home and thinking, wow, that's crazy numbers to be earning, that sort of, tens of thousands of pounds every month. But it is possible. It does take a little bit of time. Your first few months, you're going to be, learning and making your mistakes and things. But once you hit sort of 9 months, you'll really fly. 6 to 9 months usually is where it depends on your experience level and what background you're coming from. That's usually where people really get into it and they start to fly. You hit 9 months and then you just skyrocket off. You get to a year or so and you're doing this sort of numbers usually. If you are, keen and really focused, it's possible to do this a lot quicker actually. So there's my figures. I think Arsh is going to go over a few of his now.
Okay, right. So Neil's just gone through some of the stuff that he's done in August this year. Now, as I said, for me, this year has been an exceptionally busy year, and especially last week was fantastic. Well, when I say last week, the week just gone, we actually secured in excess of 10 properties, and we also managed to sell the 10 properties. And for those that are on my mailing list, you'll know that you would have been bombarded this week with deal after deal after deal after deal. So you'll know that what I'm telling you, especially now, is the truth. So you would have seen deals with regards to Walsall, you would have seen deals from Birmingham, you would have seen deals from Wolverhampton, you would have seen deals from Stockton-on-Tees, you would have seen deals from Liverpool. And the beauty about deal sourcing is that because it depends what your intention is. If your intention is to buy to retain and keep for your portfolio, then you may want to just concentrate on your local market. Whereas with me, my intention is no longer to keep the property. My intention is to source a property and sell the property, which opens my market to nationwide. So I can be absolutely anywhere. One of the guys that are online today, David, we're currently doing pretty much a small JV on a place in Oldham. So actually, you know what? You guys might be interested in it. We've got a pub that we've just secured in Oldham. If you're interested in that, it's got the potential to turn into 10 studios. And I can talk to you about that if that's of any interest. And we've just got deals like, now here's one. Here's a deal that I've secured in Birmingham. And the owner actually come to me through another letting agency. And the beauty with deal sourcing is that there's so many ways to be able to get deals. So one of the ways that I do deals is that I go direct through vendor. The other one I go through letting agents, estate agents. I also go through other property dealers, should I say, or other sources, because not everyone looks at the property in the same angle that you would. So for argument's sake, someone came to me with this deal. Well, this was actually a letting agent in Walsall, and he goes, unfortunately, I don't know what to do with this. And I looked at it and instantly I saw the angle. So here they've got a 6-bed house, 4 reception rooms, and it's just been let out as a single let house for £750 a month, which is way below what it should be achieving. So as soon as I looked at it, and I've noticed that I've done a spelling mistake on the slide, a 6-ed house should be a 6-bed house. I looked at it and I thought automatically that can be a 10-bed HMO. And then on the back, the owner said, well, yeah, we've got this bit of a shed at the back. And I looked at it, and actually it's not a shed. It's a massive 2-story outhouse, which has the potential to be turned into a 2-bed end terrace property. So I got my architect round, we did a bit of work, had a look at it, and all in all, it took me about 7 days of to and fro, negotiating with the owner. We agreed £205,000 with the owner. Actually sold it that afternoon to an investor on my database for 245,000, which meant that on this basis, on the basis that there's so much deal, there's so much meat on the bone here, that if someone was to convert the house out the back as well as turn it into a HMO, potentially could be worth best part of £390,000. In order to do the work, all in all, I think it's going to cost circa between £40,000 and £50,000. So even if someone buys it off me for 245 and they spend 50,000 on it, that takes them closer to 300. There's still a lot of meat on the bone in this deal. And as a result of that, we agreed 205. We sold it for 245. We've got all the contracts in place. It's all legally, it's all secure, and the transaction has started to go through the solicitors. And that is it. I won't own the property. I won't do anything. All I'll be doing, I'll sitting in the centre, and I'll just collect my sourcing fee on exchange, which we're hoping to be within the next 7, 14 or 21 days, depending on how quickly they can move. Just out of curiosity, someone's just said that they can't hear us. Can everyone else still hear okay? Making sure. Okay, everyone's still saying yeah, loud and clear. Okay, so if you have lost signal, just please log out and log back in. I'm hoping that should be sorted. Okay, so that's just one of the deals. Now, other deals that I've done is rent to rent. So I got approached by a landlord who is actually based in London, and he's got a portfolio in Durham. I've also got another landlord who is again in London, has got another portfolio in Liverpool. And some of you may have seen these deals floating on your emails, but the ones in Liverpool, landlord, he doesn't really actually need to sell, but he just doesn't like the thought of the management. He's had enough of the management. He's got a full-time job. He's sick of the agency calling him saying that there's maintenance issues. So what we've done is we've agreed a lease option deal where someone can take them off him now and pay for them in 5 years' time. And we've secured the value today, and we've created the value in it, and we've sold each house. There's a row of 4 houses there. We've sold each house for £5,000. Well, we've sold the lead for each house for £5,000, which means that we're going to make £20,000 just on that one deal. The landlord's happy. He no longer has to worry about the properties. The person that's buying them is happy because he's now got control of 4 properties. Each house has been converted into 2 one-bed flats. So he's really happy because now he's got a portfolio of 4 properties that's going to be cash flowing quite handsomely. And I'm happy because I've helped 2 people, but yet I've made some money in the centre. And that's where I like to be. I like to be in the centre where, just imagine A, B, and C. I always like being B. So I'm in full control of the whole deal. And I've done so many deals like that. This week has been absolute mayhem, and next week, it's looking exactly the same. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a look at a 2-bed flat in Birmingham, and believe it or not, this was a really unusual lead because a tenant actually came into my office, and I'll show you a picture of my office in a sec. She called me and says, I've seen your house in Wolverhampton, and I want to rent it. And one of my questions I always ask a tenant is, where are you living at the moment? She goes, well, actually, I own my own flat in Birmingham. And I seemed a bit puzzled. I said, well, if you own your own flat, why do you want to move in rented accommodation? She goes, just fallen out with my boyfriend. It's got too many emotional attachments to it. I want to get rid of it. So now tomorrow, I'm going there with a view of buying her flat, and then she's going to rent one of my houses. So it's going to win-win all round. And again, my aim is to source that out straight away. So hopefully tomorrow you'll see a deal sitting on email for a 2-bed flat in Birmingham, provided we can get the figures correct. So, moving on, why would people buy the deals from me? Neil? Is Neil still with me?
Yeah, I shall jump on.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I had myself muted there. I've just unmuted. Yeah, I like this question because it always comes up. And it's usually one of the barriers people have of getting into this. They think, well, why would they buy these? Who would I sell them to? What would be their motivation, etc., etc. So let's just go over a couple of these points then. So number one, there are investors all over the UK looking for deals like this right now. And it's the same in any field. Let's say you needed an operation. Would you just go to any doctor? Or if you had the choice, would you go to the best doctor? Well, 99% would want the best doctor. If price was not an issue, you would go to the best doctor. So think about investors now then. And if they hear about someone like myself and Arsh, who are very successful property investors and source fantastic deals for investors all the time, who are they rather going to go to? Someone like me and Arsh, or are they going to try and figure this out for themselves? Well, in most cases, they're going to come to Arsh and I, which is proven by our phones ringing non-stop every day from people that are actually looking for deals. And who are these investors then? I touched on it at the beginning. Your typical investor is, I'd say, over 40 years old. So 40 to 60 years old is your typical. Of course, there's people outside this. 80% male. You have jobs such as accountants, doctors, you have engineers, even some people, professional investors who want to move into the property market. So it's important to know who your customer is, first of all. And these are the sort of people that are looking for deals all the time. Now, why are they looking for these deals then? Have you seen the interest rates that banks are offering our customers being the investors, on their savings right now? I was just having a conversation with my father earlier about this as well. The rates are absolutely pitiful. And with inflation the way it is, some people are actually losing money on the money they have saved in the bank because inflation is eating away at it. So because of these reasons then, people such as these investors, they want to invest in property because property, although we have our ups and downs and crashes, over the long haul, it's always appreciated in value. So what's a good ROI? And ROI stands for return on investment. Well, it's different for different people. Some people want 6% and they're happy with that on a property because they'll take the capital growth with it. Other people, they won't touch a house unless they get 15%. And you've got to think as well, why do Arsh and I not buy anymore? Well, with our rent-to-rents and with our sourcing, the typical rent-to-rent deal will make you 350% return on investment in a year, sometimes even more than that. So all these figures you've got to take into account when you've got to think, why will they buy these deals from me? And pension pots as well. Pension pots. People have lost their pensions and they're seeing it on the news. It's creating this fear. Some people paying into a pension for years and years and years and trusting their company. And then just like that, their pension's gone. Absolutely wiped out. And they haven't got these pots anymore. So people are getting smart to this and they're not trusting their pensions as much. And they want to invest for themselves, create their own pension through a property. And it's really interesting. You speak to most people, whether they're your friends or family, and at some point, 9 out of 10 people have considered investing in a property. Those numbers are staggering. So the seed has already been planted with most people who want to invest in property. It's already there. All you need to do is just water that seed and encourage it. And even then, you don't really need to do that because there's people already looking for these deals. And as soon as you put yourself out there as someone that can provide them, they will jump all over it. And I'll give you the example of the deal I sold just the other week there, the one that I sourced for that investor. He didn't really know much about property investing. He'd just gone around buying random houses so he could put students in. And when I looked at the deals for him, sat down, had a coffee and stuff, I said, your returns aren't very good compared to what you could get. And he was, shocked because he thought, he's a intelligent man and very rich and all of this, and he thought he was doing a good thing. And I analysed him and found out how he could double his ROI, and just that alone, he was straight away just so keen, so excited. And then the first property I found for him gave him a very, very healthy ROI. So he was sold, and he'll just buy more and more properties from me from now on. And that's what it's about, building up this database. So let's go to the next slide, Arsh. Okay, so the next thing is probably on your mind. How do I make a business out of this? This is all great. What you've talked about tonight, Arsh, what you've talked about, this is fantastic. But can I do this, and how do I do it? So let's go over a mini crash course now then. So if you've got your notepads and pens ready, please write these points down. So number one, the first thing and the most important thing that you will need in order to set up your business and to get going is the correct legal structure. That means having the correct contracts, your sourcing contract, your lockout agreements, maybe your lease option agreements, rent-to-rent contracts, whatever it is you're going to be doing, you need to have these forms in your arsenal. You need these contracts. Now, the slightly bad news is they cost thousands and thousands of pounds to make. So that's the only downside to getting set up. They cost thousands. But Arsh and I are going to be talking about something shortly where you can actually have all of these contracts from us. So the next point then is doing your research. Research, research, research. You have to research this business until there's nothing more you can research. Areas, returns, house types, house sizes, what will they rent for? Can they become HMOs? Can they become student houses, worker houses, professional houses, mixed houses? You've got to look at them all. Do the flats in this area make the best return? Do the single let houses? Do the HMOs? You've got to look at everything and analyze it. You've got to do your research. Who is my customer? Who am I going to sell this deal to? Okay, so it's all about research. Step 3 is your business presence. So that's making sure everything is aligned. And it boggles my mind still today. I have so many people come to me for one-on-one sessions all the time saying, I've been on this course, I've been mentored by this property guru, and I've got my business and all this. And I look at the business, and I look at the branding, the website, the name, everything as a whole. I don't just look at it individually. And I see it, and it doesn't make sense to me. The name's all wrong. The name is not aligned with what you're doing. The market's wrong. The website's wrong. You're targeting the wrong people. You've got to think about who your customer is, and then you've got to target that customer, which is why I'll show you in a second the way my business is set up. It's completely different to anything else you'll have seen. Even Arsh's, it's completely different to Arsh's. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that we have different strategies, which is why we sort of work so well together. Because people always align with one of us. Sometimes you go on a course and you don't align with the trainer. But with Arsh, you've got to align with one of us every time. So again, that business present, make it look professional, well branded, good logo, making sure you're targeting the right people. So that's your step 3, and that is the most difficult thing, I would say. A lot of people think that's the easiest, but it's not. It's actually the most difficult. You need someone that knows business inside and out, that's built a lot of businesses and can just look at it and analyze it straight away and say yes or no, change this, change that. And a lot of times, like I said, these people come for one-on-ones. Just by tweaking their business, saying change the name or change this, change that, they go off and they're really successful then, because you don't think these things make a difference, but they do. They make such a huge difference. Why does Starbucks, why does McDonald's, why do these big companies spend millions on branding and having branding people come in to get their brand right? They're already billion-dollar companies. Why do they do that? Okay. Step 4, this is your leads, the lead generation strategies you use. So we've actually done a couple more webinars that you're welcome to have a look at after this. You can find them on YouTube. And we talk a lot about sourcing leads and how Arsh and I do them. So I recommend checking those out. So sourcing the leads, this is about your marketing, it's about your advertising, how you actually generate these leads. And there's hundreds and hundreds of strategies. And you'll see a mind map in a moment that I created for all of our students and people that come in for training with us. And it shows hundreds of strategies for marketing and sourcing leads. You could never sort of run out of strategies when you're using that mind map, because it's just so big and so powerful. Okay, and then it's your advertising. How are you advertising? Is it effective? How are you analyzing what you're doing? How are you tracking that advertising? Okay, are you spending too much? Because you don't need to spend a lot of money. My advertising budget is tiny, and yet I source more properties than most people combined. It's about knowing how to do it. Okay, next step is your investor database. Having your investor database, building this up with local people who are looking to invest, as I was talking about, building these relationships with them so that as soon as a property comes on or you hear of a property, straight away you can get in with a vendor, you can speak to your database, speak to these investors, and put the deal together really quick, because it's all about speed. Now, there's another way to do this, and Arsh is going to talk about this shortly, where you don't need to build your own database, where you can actually do a joint venture with Arsh. So Arsh will mention that after. And then your last step is about making the sale. And this is the biggest challenge for most people. And this is proven with the sales training days that Arsh and I run. And the amount of people that come on those, they're always sold out way before the event even comes up. We have people flying in from all over the world for that, to actually come on that training. It's crazy, because without sales and negotiation skills, you will struggle in property. It doesn't matter if you're talking to an agent or you're talking to a vendor or whoever it is. You need to know how to negotiate. So luckily, that's my background. I am a sales trainer, and I do train sales trainers. So the way we sort of teach you is we make it very, very simple. So it's not complex and overwhelming, showing you the basics and how to do it properly. Let's go to the next slide then, Arsh. So I hope you were able to get all that written down anyway. So let's talk then about how I structured my business. And it's very different. Arsh is going to talk about his in a second then. So I actually have two sourcing businesses. Now, why do I do that? Well, the top one here is the easy property sales business. And you can see that I went out and just bought a couple of cars, a couple of £1,000 each, nothing major, a couple of, they're like Ford Fiestas, and they have all the branding on them. And these cars, because they attract so much attention, I've had a lot of parents say, oh, my kids call them the smarty cars because of the bright colours all around them. And they attract so much attention, and people, when you park up somewhere, people will stop and they'll come over and they'll say, oh, can you tell me about this business? How does it work? It generates leads all the time, especially where I park them as well. They're left on this road. There's quite a lot of traffic going by. So this is what I do. I source the deals through this company. So if you were to look on this website, you'll see it's a really slick, smooth, professional website where people can actually go on and looking to sell their houses. Okay, so that's how that works. The company underneath is my investment company. So it's part of the Forward Thinking group. So this is one of the companies within that group. And this is where I actually sell the property deals to investors through. So I get my fees on the easy property sales from the vendor, and then I get my fees, so I double up on the fees through the actual investor. So I sell them through this company, Forward Thinking Property. So that's the way I do it. There is no right or wrong way in this industry, in this business. Now Arsh is going to tell you about the way he does it, which is very different from me. So I'll hand over now.
Okay, so Neil told you about how he does. Now, what he did mention and is very important is branding. Now, when did I set this up? So in 2005, we were buying properties constantly, and I was just like a one-man band off a mobile phone advertising the back of a paper. And so I found I found that we're getting lots of calls, but in the back of a paper, you can also get swallowed up because there are about 40 other companies advertising there. So what makes you different to those? So what I decided to do, I decided to go off and get some high street premises, which is a bit of a risk in all honesty. And I wouldn't suggest that you just go and do this off a whim tomorrow. You've got to test your market, you've got to understand your market, and you've got to make sure that your market's ready for it. So what I did, I went off and rented these accommodation, and these are still my offices today. And I call my business We Buy Properties Fast.co.uk. You'll notice tonight that we've purposely taken the website offline, which we do for the webinars, because with that we get a lot of people go and leave inquiry sheets on there. And we're also doing a bit of site maintenance on it today. So if you notice, the brand is We Buy Properties Fast. Now, when you read that, what does it say that we do? It's pretty much impossible to not understand what we do. But more importantly, if you notice that we've highlighted two words in that, well, we've actually highlighted the words in two different colours. The ones that we want people to pay attention to is buy and fast, because generally the people that are going to approach us are people that are going to need some form of quick assistance, and that's the reason why we've called it the way that we have. It's pretty much like WeBuyAnyCar.com. Now everyone remembers that, and now with our advertising, yes, we've gone very much corporate. That We Buy Properties Fast, and it's we've bought properties, we've bought hundreds, thousands of properties over the years. And it's worked extremely well for us, and that goes with our marketing as well. So everything that we do, keep it corporate colours. If you notice, the shop is pretty much white, our website's pretty much white. We keep the corporate colours, and everything stays in that uniformity. And what made me different, what made us different, what made us more successful than the other guys advertising the paper, I said to them, and I always used to say, okay, you're more than welcome to call any other guy in the paper, but what happens if they decide to change their mind that day? How do you get in contact with them? Well, we'll call that number. I said, but what if they stop picking up the phone? Oh yeah, good point. We don't know where they live. I said, well, I'll tell you what. Instead of us talking on the phone, why don't we make an appointment? You come to my office, we have a coffee, you can see where I am, you can see that I'm not going to be able to run away, and let's move forward from there. And that's what made me win. The fact that we put out so many press shots of people in the office having a coffee, having a chat, being all smiley, hug, kind, arm around shoulder, yes, we can help you, la-di-da-di-da. And it works really well for us, and it still does today. We get so many people walk in as referrals, and because we're on a busy high street as well, as Neil has got his car driving around, we don't need the car because we've got this static office that we're on a main high street in Wolverhampton where we get thousands of people see us every day. The only thing that you can't do, the office can't obviously move, and so that we are very reliant on stuff like our website, our SEO optimization, making sure that we're in the right places, in the right publications, but we're still trading very strong on 10 years on from creating the business. Neil? Okay, I think we're...
Okay, just unmuted myself.
Okay, so that's
great.
my office. So tell us a little bit, because I appreciate we make it sound easy.
Yeah, we do. So this all sounds really easy, but the question usually comes, but where can I learn all this stuff? Because there isn't really many people in the UK teaching deal sourcing. I know of one guy who I think's good at it, but that's about it. I don't actually know of anyone else. And Arsh and I were talking about this just the other day. There isn't really anybody teaching this properly and making good money from it anyway. So even though we've just given you the formula on how to actually build this business, it is a lot easier said than done. So this is where we want to help you with it. So let's go to the next slide, Arsh, and sort of let's make an offer here. So how would you like to align yourself with us? And that means working with us directly. It doesn't mean just randomly, like some people say, work with us and then you don't get to work with them. Actually mean you can work with us. So what we're looking for at the moment is a lot of JV partners. where you actually can source the properties and align with us, where we will either myself negotiate to get that deal, and Arsh will sell the deal for you. So we would become three-way partners pretty much in the deals. So let's go on to the next slide and let's talk about that. So this is the next course that we're running. It's a deal sourcing and property business weekend. So you'll have a few people coming on the business day, which is on the Sunday as well, purely because a lot of people, even that have been in the industry for a while, still don't know how to build a property business. So this was something that Arsh and I did a big push on a couple of years back, really building our businesses, systemizing it, getting the best accountants, architects, solicitors in the business on board, getting experts in all sorts of different fields. And these people actually talk on our weekends as well, where they are available. So it really is a fantastic weekend where you're getting to speak to the best of the best. So the next one we're running is going to be at the De Vere Hotel, which is the hotel we always use. It's a village hotel. It's a luxury hotel, spa hotel, and we get preferential room rates of only £75 a night. So it really is great, and people just love it there. So next slide, Arsh. So it's on the 19th of September, which is a Saturday. It's in 2 weeks' time. And just a few of the things that we're going to cover on the first day then. Firstly, it'll be the most effective 10 strategies that bring in most of the deals. So there's something called Pareto's Law, which is worth doing your research on. And it says that actually 80% of any content is created by the 20%. So in my industry, the sales industry, 80% of all the income and the deals are done by 20% of the top sales people. And anywhere you look, you'll find this same law, I guess you could say. So we'll show you the strategies that we use at bringing in all the deals. We're going to show you an absolute abundance of sourcing strategies until you cannot take any more, and you'll actually build your marketing plan in-house on the day, so that there isn't going away and all that confusion. You're actually going to just go away and get on with this, because that's the thing that bugs me every time. People going away and they don't do anything. I think you've paid and you've wanted to come and JV with us, and then you don't do it. And it's things like the marketing and things like that that get people stopped. So I think we've pretty much ironed out all the bugs now, so that when you come on it, you're going to build your business there and then, get your marketing plan done there and then. So there's no excuses. If you don't succeed, there is no one else to blame. Okay, so this is why we do it in this way. Next, how to write effective copy for your adverts, because this is how you're going to increase your response rate. And then I'm just going to let you swipe all of my things, my leaflets, my adverts, all the media. So it's going to save you a lot of time and money. You can just swipe all of my files. Next slide, Arsh. Okay, then the legals. So remember I said this will cost you thousands and thousands in contracts. Well, if you come on our training and JV with Arsh and I, we're going to give you the legal documents completely free, no charge whatsoever. So that's your sales agreements, your exclusivity, your lockout agreements, your NDAs, your options, your rent-to-rent, everything. You're going to get the lot. Okay. Then it's how to find and build up your investor database. So we're going to do a session on that. How to work with estate agents. So many people don't work with agents. And in some sort of property strategies, such as rent-to-rent, I don't work with agents. But when it comes to sourcing, I do, because this is how I get a lot of my deals. You think agents are professional, but most of them are not that professional. And if you go in with anything creative, they just don't understand. So you're probably sat at home nodding your heads because you've been into an agent, you've tried to talk about doing something with them, or you've got this deal, and they just don't get it. They're just not that sort of person. You know, they like it very simple, do this, do that, and that's it. They don't want to think outside the box. So I'll show you how you can use that to your advantage, so you get all these deals coming in, and they'll just call you non-stop. Once you've done one, they will think you are, you know, the best thing in the world, and they'll just call you all the time with deals that they don't know what to do with, basically. Then Arsh is going to teach you all about commercial agents, how to work with the commercial agents and make the big money, and then how to keep some of the deals for yourself with no money down, if that is what you want to do. Again, that's not my strategy right now. I'm not interested in keeping any deals for myself because I want the cash. I want to make big cash fast. And the other thing I will touch on as well, did you notice how Arsh and my strategy was very different? Where mine was making £2, £3, £4, £5,000 on a deal, just sitting in the middle and doing it. Whereas Arsh does things a lot more creatively than me, so I've got to give him credit for that. Where he will make, say, 40,000 on a deal, by doing some very creative things with solicitors and things like that. So Arsh is going to teach you all of that as well, and I'll teach it from my point of view, where it is very simple. There isn't a huge amount of creativity. It's just find the deal, sell them. So simple, so easy, and just trickling in the money. 2,000 here, 5,000 here, 7,000. That's more than enough for money for me. I'm very happy with it. So we'll show you both of those different methods. Next is the next slide, Arsh, is the 20th of September. So that is the Sunday. And the Sunday is all about building your property business. So this is just some of the things you'll learn. I highly recommend the Sunday. People have said it is absolutely amazing. They've learned so much. So it's everything from the basics, building your website, templates to use, how to create a responsive video so you can get leads, building up your social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, so you can source leads from there, building your team. This is very important. You've got to have the right tradespeople, because when you have the wrong tradespeople, it's an absolute nightmare. But when you've got the right tradespeople, you can actually use this to your advantage to build up a little business on the side, which is what I've got going on. And it's fantastic because you can make a good few £1,000s a month through doing jobs for other people, other landlords, using your trades contacts. So that, again, it's just all these little income streams we're going to teach you. So one of them got to work for everybody. Then we'll go on to building your team. Now this is crucial. You've got to understand how to recruit staff correctly and structure their contracts. So whether you're going to go for employment or self-employment, I'll actually show you how to do it so it's fully legal, because a lot of people do it and it's not legal. So I'll show you how to do self-employment correctly with people that you work with. It's very important. Then we're going to go on to systemization. A lot of people have said this is their favorite part, because I'll show you how I've systemized my business, all the systems I've used, and it saves me hours and hours and hours of my time. I'll show you all of that, and you'll get all those systems as well. Next slide, Arsh. Okay, then we'll go into tax planning, and we always have a talk from Simon Mitrovic, who is the director of Optimize Accountants, a property specialist accountancy firm. So we'll show you how he's going to talk to you about that, how to actually structure your business. He's going to be talking profit and loss, forecasting, how to run your business properly and effectively. Because again, you ask 9 out of 10 investors and they haven't got a profit and loss forecast, which for any business person is basic. It's the most basic thing to have. And without that, it's very difficult. So we'll show you all about profit and loss and how to forecast your finances as well. And then whether you're going to have an office or a virtual office, I'll show you actually how to do this for less than £50 a month. Have your own virtual office, virtual landline, and no one will ever know the difference. And then this is what we talked about, how to use your trade contacts to build a home improvements company. So this really can make a lot of money. On a good month, you can make £10,000 from a company like this. On a bad month, you might make £500 or £1,000, depending on how much effort you put in. But still, it's very good money for not really having to do a lot, since you're not going to do the work yourself anyway. Then Arsh is going to talk about the exit plan from property and what his plan is and how he can help you with your plan. Give you some advice there in the room, and it really is a fantastic day out. It's such an amazing experience. We've always had fantastic reviews from all of our trainings. You really struggle to find a negative review anywhere on our trainings because people just love it so much. And we do create success stories. We don't just bring you in, do a training, then say off you go. We have follow-up groups. We have a Facebook group. There's so much there that just keeps you going. Other people in the group, everyone's posting every day. Any questions, Arsh and I are in the group. We answer questions daily. So there isn't really any excuse why you wouldn't be successful as long as you apply yourself. Because that's one thing that Arsh and I can't help with. If you haven't got that motivation, you don't want to apply yourself, then there's no one on the planet that can help you. So I'm being, brutally honest there, but I think it's important to say that. Arsh, should we go on to the next slide? So this is what we used to do this was at the beginning of the year. We used to have these huge events, and we even had Channel 4 filming. Go to the next slide, Arsh. I'll show you the next. Double screen. It was absolutely huge. We're not doing that anymore for the deal sourcing events because we're just getting too many people that were just course junkies, and we want some serious people. We want people that will become JV partners, so we're not going to be doing that. Next slide, Arsh. So for the rent-to-rent courses, sales training courses, it will still be huge events. They will all be sellouts as usual, 75 people upwards, selling out a month before the event as they usually do. But with the deal sourcing, we're not going to be doing that anymore. These are the mind maps I was talking about. So on the left there's the marketing mind map. On the right is your deal sourcing mind map. Again, they took me the best part of 6 months to create each of those. So you'll get a copy of those as well. So you can just take that and run with it. So you're probably building up a picture now of how much content you're going to get. And it is like a franchise. A lot of people have said to us, they said this is like a franchise without a franchise fee. Next slide, Arsh. Right, Arsh, I'll let you take over from here and run it through.
Okay, brilliant. So Neil's told you pretty much about what's on offer. I mean, and as he said, that we are going to be giving you all the documentation as an additional bonus, because normally when you come on the course, we teach you how to do it, and then some people have gone off and got their own documents. Some of them have been wrong. So what we're going to do as part of it, I'm going to throw you all the documents plus my USB, which I call the key to success. So that if you have properties that you are going to keep for yourself and you want to tenant them, we're going to give you the tenancy agreements, we're going to give you gas safety documents, guarantor documents, and so much more. So you're going to get a lot, and you're going to get thousands of pounds worth of documents alone, not to mention the experience of spending 2 days with us. And here's where we drop the bombshell, because tonight, and it's only for the action takers. And I can't stress that enough. So people that at the start said that, yeah, you want to escape, get to financial freedom, you want to help, you want to travel, do all the things that you talked about at the start, we're going to offer you something exceptional. So you're going to get the 2 days, the deal sourcing day, the business building day, you're going to get the contracts, you're going to get all the legal documentation, the templates and the letters, you're going to get the key to success, you're going to get meals on each of your days, you're going to have the membership to the secret group, so the education doesn't stop just in the room. We have a dedicated Facebook group specifically for people who've been on this course. You're going to get a one-on-one call with Neil after the course, plus the lifetime support with us, as well as the opportunity to JV with us as well. So the value of that is actually priceless, because it's well in excess of £5,000. Remember, we only have 12 seats available for the weekend, and it's the 19th and 20th. And the bombshell that we're going to drop right now is that we're going to allow you to JV with us. So if you get the deals, I'll sell them for you. If you need negotiation help, Neil will help you negotiate them. And here's the deal. So we're going to offer it for $595 per person for the whole weekend. So that's correct. So it's less than £300 a day. Not only that, you're going to get all the info. And I tell you what, tonight, and only if you book tonight, we're going to allow you to bring a partner for free for the whole weekend. So that's £595 for 2 people for the whole weekend. So it's no longer £300 a day. So £600. So £595 for 2 people, 2 days. So it's less than £150 per person per day. How crazy is that? So £595, 2 people, 2 days. And the reason why we keep it so low is because we believe in fair pricing. Now, we could very easily charge this up at, best part of £3,000 per person. But what's the point? Some people are going to say, well, we always get the question, can we just attend the one day? And yes, you can. You can either decide to just do the one day, the Saturday or the Sunday, and you can pay by paying just £395 per day. So that's the final offer. So what we're offering is 2 days, the deal sourcing and the business creation day on the 19th and the 20th of September. It is in Dudley at the De Beer Hotel, which is part of the Village Group. And to book on, it is very simply by going on my website, which is arshlahi.com. Go to the events page, look at the deal sourcing tab, and you can purchase it there. Just £595 for 2 people for 2 days. Now, if you were to look at this on a return on investment point of view, if you worked on the basis that £595 would be the 20% commission from the first deal, which is your average, your 3K typical deal fee. So, technically speaking, you're going to be getting a 500% return on investment on your first deal. Where else can you do that? So, again, what I'll do is I'll actually talk you through it. So, let's just quickly go. So here's my website. So all you do, go to the events page, look on deal sourcing, and all you do, so it's £395 for the one day. And see, if you notice here, I still haven't changed the website because normally you have to pay to bring your partner. But for the whole weekend, there we have it. So you click that button there, and it is very straightforward. And more importantly, you can book yourself a hotel room straight off the website as well. So that's arshlahi.com. Look at the events tab and look for deal sourcing. Finally, you're more than welcome to get in contact directly with Neil or I. You've got him on his website there, you've got his mobile number, as well as you can find him on Facebook and LinkedIn. As well as myself, you can come through to me direct on my mobile number, as well as find me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn. So that kind of brings us to the close of tonight's presentation. So hopefully that's given you some food for thought. So it's telling you or showing you different ways how to make money out of property. It's not a case of you have to buy a property, sit on it, wait, rent it out, deal with the sometimes the drain and the strain of tenants. How about you just actually make money from controlling the property and not actually owning it? And that's the key to success, I think, with property, because there's so much that you can, when you own property, technically speaking, depending on the mortgage that you've got, depending on the tenant group that you've got, you may not actually make money, and it may take a long time for you to make money. And it's quite a slow and laborious process, and you can actually run out of money really quickly. So here's something to add another string to your bow. And all you do is that you get the deal, you source it, and you sell it. And it really is as simple as that. And whether it's a rent-to-rent deal, whether it's a standard B&B straightforward purchase, whether it's a lease option deal, you've got so many options to offer the person that you're going to potentially be buying off. And either way, we're going to be giving you all the strategies so that every time you go to meet a vendor, you've got something to offer them. Can you buy it? Can you sell it for them? Can you rent it off them? Can you sell the rent to rent? Either way, you've got to be able to offer them something and walk away with something. I don't want you to walk into a property and come out of that property empty-handed. Now, one person's just asked, Mr. Rahman's just asked, I have no partner. Does it mean that I pay £295 for the weekend just for myself? Unfortunately, Mr. Rahman, it's not the case, unfortunately. It is £595 for the weekend, and it is a special offer that we're doing. So you can bring the partner for free. As of tonight, that will no longer be the case. So unless you've booked and you're going to book on tonight, that's what we're going to offer. After tonight, it is literally for the webinar, a webinar tonight that we're allowing you to bring your business partner for free. If you don't have a business partner, unfortunately, just see it as an opportunity that, A, can you bring someone with you? If not, for £595, you're going to get a lot anyway. So I'm hoping that that spurs you on, because I'm just having a quick look at our diaries now. This could potentially be the last one of the year. We may possibly run one towards the end of the year, but that's not penciled in yet, depending on mine and Neil's diary. So, if you're thinking, well, I can't do this one, maybe I'm going to look at one in the future. When do you want your property journey to start? We're giving you an opportunity to really kickstart your property journey. Tonight's the night that you should be looking to do it, and starting with a view of, starting putting a new strategy in place pretty much straight away. So I suppose on that note, okay, we've run over slightly. As I said, we wanted to try and close at 9. If there are any quick questions specifically to deal sourcing, I'm happy to try and go through them now and spend the next couple of minutes with them. Alternatively, if you want, you could just come through to both Neil or I tomorrow, and let's see how we can help and how we can assist. But just something to bear in mind is that we only JV with people who attend the course, because we get to know you, we get to understand what your goals and what you want to do, and we can get to structure the JV according to how you want it. So if you're going to turn around to me tomorrow and say, Arsh, okay, I can't come on the course, but unfortunately we'd like to JV with you. Unfortunately, one of the selling points of the course is that you have the option and the exclusivity to JV with us. Unfortunately, I don't JV with people very lightly. So if someone comes to me out of the blue and they want to JV, maybe it's not for me, but that's an option. So just going through, okay, so someone's just put, just check the website, the offer you mentioned is not shown. Well, in actual fact, it is just, all you do is you click on for the weekend and it's $595. I think in actual fact, my guys may have actually listed it as $597. And if that's the case, you know what, Peter, I'll very happily give you the £2 back. So it's events, look on the deal sourcing page. And on the deal sourcing page, it's going to say you can come for the 1 day, which is $395, where you add to cart. Alternatively, you bring a business partner for £97. That's not the case. Or you can have the whole weekend for $597. Apologies, they have put it on. We put the price up by £2. Please forgive me. And then I'll give you that £2 back. That's no issue. So if you press add to cart there, in the special comments box, just put that you come in with a business partner and their name. When my office starts to send you emails, just confirming your attendance. If you can provide us with all the details of your business partner, that'd be fantastic. So yes, it's all there. Happy to answer any questions. Alternatively, if you want to have a chat with me, you're more than welcome to help. So someone's put, Gareth has asked, what percentage of your overall business is deal sourcing? Well, in actual fact, the way that you've got to look at deal sourcing is pretty much 100% of my business is deal sourcing, because when I do rent to rent, I still have to source the properties. When I'm buying through business properties for We Buy Properties Fast and my own portfolio, I'm still having to source and deal source the property. Even through my letting agency, when we're touting landlords, we're still having to source and market the same way to get the landlords and systems. So yeah, in that respect, deal sourcing is a massive part of any business, because it all comes down to marketing and how you put yourself out in front of people, how people perceive you, and how you can put them an offer which is going to create a win-win scenario. So one person just asked, what CRM systems do you use to manage your leads? Unfortunately, I've never come across a CRM system that kind of works for me in a good enough manner. So I'm very much manually based, and I'll be talking to you about systems like the manual systems that we use, which is pretty much as good as saying a electronic and a manual diary, as well as using a filing cabinet. And that's the best way, I think, manages your leads. and it's a filing cabinet and having 30 folders of every day of the month. So if you've called someone on the 1st, then they need another 2 weeks, you push it back to the 15th. And it really is as simple as that. Don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be. So someone's put, Frank has asked, hi Arsh, I'd like to attend for both days, but unfortunately you can only attend the Sunday this time, but you'd like to do the Saturday another day. Is that possible? Yes, you can split the days. I think the next course will potentially be in tail end of November if we decide to run one. If not, it will definitely be in February next year. So what I will do and offer now actually is that if you want to take advantage of the special offer, you can pay tonight and come on a future course. I'm happy to do that for you. So someone's put, it's a great question. How can you source nationally and have the local knowledge that tells you you're sourcing a good deal? That all comes down to research, Andrew. It's a great question because the internet's a powerful thing, and I don't literally get in the car and visit physically every deal because it's pretty much impossible. I'd never get to spend any time in the office, and not only that, I want to make sure that the deals that I'm doing, it's only after I've managed to secure the deal that I'll go and visit it, because I don't want to waste a lot of time just traveling to deals that are never going to happen. So that's when you agree in principle, that's when you go off and visit it, if you have to. But a lot of it will be done through agents, a lot of it will be done through some of the research that you do online. And pretty much there's so many statistics, so much research that you can do online. You can see what people bought it for, what people have sold it for, who's rented it. There's so many ways of finding out things about the property without physically seeing it. The only thing that you can't do online is actually physically see the internal shots. But one thing that you can do is get the vendor or get the person that's selling it you to sell you pictures, to send you pictures pretty much that day, and get them to sign something that's a true reflection of the property that they're offering. So that kind of brings us to an end. Like I said, it is. I've pretty much answered all the questions that have come through so far. That kind of brings us to a kind of end of tonight's presentation. So I'm hoping that you've taken a lot out of it, and it's given you some food for thought, because believe it or not, there's so much that you can do just by understanding deal sourcing, which inevitably is marketing. I'd love the opportunity to work with you. I'd love the opportunity to see you in the room on the 19th and 20th. And if you have any other further questions, please feel free to get in contact with Neil and myself, just via direct contact. Don't be afraid to ask the question, regardless of how big or small it may be. And let's see how we can work together. On that note, I'd love to say that it's been a pleasure speaking to you guys. And I hopefully will see you. Neil, are you online?
Yep, I'm still online, Arsh.
Okay, brilliant. Anything?
Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to say thank you really for everybody spending your Sunday evening with us, and I hope it was insightful. I hope it was educational, and that you did write down the steps that we went through, because they're really your golden steps in building your business. And yeah, really look forward to those of you who do want to joint venture with us, and yeah, make some good money and have fun in the process, and also help other people too, investors and homeowners. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the 19th and 20th. I think there's still a few spots left from the bookings coming through, so looking forward to seeing you all. Thanks a lot.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Neil. Take care.